What is it that makes a man or woman of God in the divine pattern? That is important. So, you've been called out of the world, pattern as it is, to share in the divine outworking by which you might become a noble man or a noble woman in the service of our King. So all genius represents a particularized capacity to contact Shekinah. Generally speaking, in the world, those human beings who have contacted it have done so more or less accidentally. All kinds of theories, teachings, and philosophies have been developed which are supposed to make it possible for the ordinary man or woman to equal the feats of genius. We have so many that I could name. But in actual fact, they do not. Because they do not understand. Hoping to equal the feats of genius is a poor goal. If we have no greater goal than to hope to equal or come near, perhaps, that which has been achieved by some genius of the past, we've accepted a distorted goal, something that is meaningless in fact. We are here as instruments for Shekinah. Man, made in the image and likeness of God, to be the instrument for the manifestation of the evidence of the presence of the one who dwells. If you fully comprehend that brief statement, you understand much. And we begin to see that for those who truly see, there is the particularized formation of Shekinah. The central ball of fire, the surrounding light that glows, and the cloud, which comes into being in relationship to every truly constructive or creative endeavor. And if you attempt to give an attunement, for instance, and you cannot, under the circumstances, allow the particularized focalization of the development of Shekinah in relationship to it, you will not really give an attunement. You may not say so. You won't just say, well, you might as well get out of here. You will give the individual an opportunity, if he or she will accept it, to begin to learn how to respond. You won't talk about Shekinah. Oh, no. Not at all. If you do, you are very wrong. There is not one of you that's actually equipped to talk about Shekinah. In the sense of undertaking to convey to someone else. The point is that you will begin to inspire the individual to a response which will permit him or her to share in the beginning of the development of a focalization of Shekinah. For that particularized development must appear before the actuality of attunement is established. Now, of course, I recognize that we have called many patterns of outworking attunements when, in the deeper sense, they were not. But it was all right along the way. But we have to reach a point where we begin to recognize what an attunement really is. And when we first started this class, I couldn't have told you, no matter what words I used, because you wouldn't have been able to understand what I was talking about. But you're beginning to reach a point where you can realize that every attunement with God must be by reason of Shekinah. And if Shekinah is not allowed to manifest between the cherubim, it will not appear. And without it, there is no power, no attunement. Just an emptiness. Just a form. Just actions and words that mean nothing. In other words, you must learn how to let the specific pattern of Shekinah take form in relationship to that which you do. You, as an individual alone, cannot arbitrarily cause it to be so. But when there is the right pattern of relatedness established with someone else, and function is correct, there can be the beginning of the manifestation of Shekinah between you and that someone else. But you must both stand upon the mercy seat, if it is to be so. Your foundation must be in the law of God, in the rod of truth, the law of God, the revelation of the finger of letters of fire, the rod of truth, Aaron's rod that budded, the bread of life, the basic triangle of being within your foundation, the ark of the covenant. And you must learn to stand upon the mercy seat. What was it the Master said? Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. And is there one among you who has no need of mercy? Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Actually, the Beatitudes, properly recognized and understood, portray the basic principles essential to coming to a point where you can be a cherubim, a cherub, a servant of God, an angel of God, whatever you want to say, standing upon the mercy seat. But you may be standing upon the mercy seat, and if there is not someone else who stands upon the mercy seat, somewhere, somehow, with you, you, standing there alone, cannot make manifest the conditions essential to the revelation of Shekinah. There must be two, one at each end of the ark of the covenant, with the mercy seat between. And it's above the mercy seat, between the cherubim, that there is the centering, the beginning of the centering, of the forming of Shekinah in that particularized pattern. Perhaps it would help you to begin to see this more clearly if we did a little supposing within the range of reality. Just suppose every man, woman, and child upon the face of the whole earth were centered in God, completely under the kingdom control of the Spirit, letting life truly manifest. The Shekinah light is the life of man. There would be, then, around the entire surface of the earth, wherever there's land at least, the manifestation of millions and millions of particularized vocalizations of Shekinah. There is, or would be, a particularized Shekinah pattern between any given individual and each of his true friends. Suppose some person had 100 friends. There would be 100 balls of fire and glowing lights and manifestations of cloud in relationship to that one individual who centered the 100 friends. But they in turn would have other friends. And each might have anywhere from, what shall we say, 1 to 100, more or less. In some cases, many more, of course. Manifestations of Shekinah, and it would cover the earth's surface. And everything that would be done, every word that would be spoken, every action, would be on the basis of the expression of Shekinah. In actual fact. The earth would then be a sun, glowing, shining, in its place in the solar system and the cosmos. A sun. A manifestation of the only begotten Son of God. How often back through the months we have shared have I told you that Shekinah is the only begotten Son of God? Did not I say the Christ Spirit? Light and love and life, or however you want to put it. What is love and light and life? What is the Christ Spirit? What is the only begotten manifestation of God, that which gives evidence of the presence of the one who dwells? Shekinah. For the Christ of the New Testament and the Shekinah of the Old are one and the same. And Christ should not be thought of as being any individual, not even our Lord and King. We can speak of him as Jesus, the Christ, the centering and manifestation of Shekinah. But to call him Christ is a statement which reveals a lack of understanding. People act as if they could interchange the words Jesus and Christ and it would be perfectly all right. It is not so. Christ and Shekinah. Or Christus, as it is put from the standpoint of the Greek. Christus and Shekinah. The same thing exactly. So, we begin to realize that if all those who dwell on the face of the earth were as they ought to be, there would be many more manifestations of the Shekinah pattern than there would be individuals on earth. Many more. And all things would be the expression of Shekinah, and without Shekinah there would not be anything done. Before there can be any real meaning to a pattern of response from any individual in relationship to myself as a teacher or leader, there must be the development between that individual and myself of a particularized focalization or manifestation of Shekinah. And that particular focalization is ours. That person and myself. And it belongs to no other. No one else. That is ours. Under the divine pattern, I have the capacity to have such an individualized focalization of Shekinah with every man, woman, and child on the face of the earth. Without any exception. If the individual will let it be so. And in each and every case, that manifestation of Shekinah would be ours, just ours. No one else. Now, in actual manifestation, well, don't jump to conclusions. You're not ready yet to understand just how all those things work. Function on the basis of what you know and not what you don't know. However, there is the necessity of realizing that nothing worthwhile can be accomplished on earth by anyone, anywhere, under any circumstance without Shekinah. And any human relationship which is not based in Shekinah, which does not allow the manifestation of Shekinah, is an utterly useless relationship. Two cherubim standing upon the ark of the covenant, upon the mercy seat, which extends between them. And between the two, there appears the centering of Shekinah. Now, this manifestation is without regard to sex. And here we begin to see why human beings have jumped to all kinds of foolish and fanciful conclusions, assuming that the angels of God were sexless creatures and that there was no such thing as sex in heaven, and so on, up and down the line. But these manifestations are established without regard to sex. In other words, I can have such a manifestation manifest between another man and myself as easily as I can between another woman and myself, and a woman and myself. We begin to see then that which results from the manifestation of Shekinah will be on an individualized basis. And the Shekinah pattern will take form between any two cherubim who stand upon the mercy seat above the Ark of the Covenant. And if you have any foundation other than that, you are attempting to build on shifting sand. For that is the only sure foundation, the rock which the Master spoke of. The rock of reality. The man who built his house upon a rock. The house of your endeavor, that which you are achieving, attempting to make or bring forth by reason of living, if it is upon that foundation and the result of the working of Shekinah, then it is well. But if you attempt to duplicate as nearly as you can the same thing without the foundation and without the working of Shekinah, you may be able to fool those who have poor spiritual vision. It may look to many as if it's just as good for a little while, but it's upon the sand. And as soon as the storm comes and the wind blows, it will fall, and great will be the fall of it. Only Shekinah provides us with the opportunity of sharing the creative work of God on earth. And any endeavor that disregards this great truth must come to naught. There should be a Shekinah pattern between every husband and wife. There should be a Shekinah pattern between every parent and child. There should be a Shekinah pattern between all those who are true friends. There should be a Shekinah pattern between the one who carries a pattern of true vocalization and all those who serve with that one. And only as you allow, for instance, a Shekinah pattern to develop between you and me, can we have any real meaning in the cosmic scheme of things. The great, magnificent significance of Shekinah. We need to begin soon to learn more about how to let Shekinah take form. I have told you already, stand on the mercy seat above the Ark of the Covenant as a cherub. And let, in the divine design, yourself have relationship to a starting point. You know, it's perfectly permissible for you to recognize me in that position if you want to. You don't have to hunt for someone else unless you wish to. And if you refuse to let me share that pattern with you, I might mention you will hunt in vain for anyone else to share it. He who does not share it with me can never truly share it with anyone else. That's the cosmic law. It's the divine pattern. Share it with me, and you will find someone else to share it with you. But it must work on the basis of center. And lo, if your foundation is the law of God written upon the tablets of your heart with letters of fire, and Aaron's rod which budded, the living truth, the same thing that was symbolized by the wine which the Master caused to appear from the water, and the manna, the bread of life. These are your foundation. This creative triangle, this creative field. You stand upon the mercy seat in correct polarity and relationship according to the divine design. You will share the creative work of good on earth. And you will begin to realize that man cannot live by bread alone, but by every word, every Shekinah which comes forth from God. So let it be, and we shall share the manifestation of the kingdom that is at hand. There is no other way. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of Shekinah is at hand. Let it appear to the glory of our King and to the blessing of the children of man.